Welcome to Sam Diary. Every life is a collection of stories. Some are sad, some are exciting, and the ones that change us forever. I am Senam, but you can call me Sen, and here on my channel, I open the vault to share real life experiences, interesting stories that resonate with the soul. If you love stories like this, then let's be friends. Let's dive right into today's story. When Judith agreed to marry Daniel in their home country of Burkina Faso, she didn't just see a husband, she saw a partner for life. To Judith, marriage was like a steady bridge that two people build together. She believed in loyalty, hard work, and the idea that if you plant seed of kindness today, you will harvest joy tomorrow. Judith was a woman of great strength. When the opportunity came for her to move to the United Kingdom, she took it not for herself, but for their future. She arrived in England on a cold grey morning with nothing but a suitcase and a heart full of hope. Life in the UK was far from the paradise people talk about back home. To save money for Daniel's visa, Judith lived a life of extreme sacrifice. She worked 3 different jobs. In the morning, she scrubbed floors in office buildings. In the afternoons, she packed heavy boxes in a warehouse. At night, she took graveyard shift as a caregiver. She was always tired, her back ached, and her hands were rough from cleaning chemicals. Many nights, she would be sitting alone on the top floor of a night bus. She would look at her reflection in the dark window and cry quietly, but she would wipe her tears and tell herself, "It's for Daniel. Once he's here, everything will be easier." Every month, she sent money back to him, but instead of gratitude, Daniel often sent back complaints like, "Judith, why is the visa taking so long?" He would ask over the phone, "My friends' wives have already brought them over. Are you sure you are actually working?" His words were like sharp needles, but Judith kept her peace. She believed that once they were together, the love would fix everything. After 2 years of lonely labor, Daniel's visa was finally approved. When he walked through the arrival gate at the airport, Judith felt like she had won the lottery. She hugged him tightly, feeling that her long winter of loneliness was over. For the first few months, things were beautiful. Daniel praised her for her hard work and complimented her on the apartment she had finished, saying, "You have done well, my wife." However, as the seasons changed, Daniel changed too. The man who used to talk to Judith until they fell asleep became a man obsessed with his phone. The silence in the house became heavy. Daniel would sit on the sofa for hours, his face lit by the blue light of the screen. He would chuckle at messages, but when Judith asked what's funny, he would quickly lock the phone and say, "Nothing. Just Facebook." He began taking phone calls in the bathroom with the shower running and started going for long walks at night. Judith had begun to feel dull ache. A woman's intuition is a quiet voice, and hers was whispering that something was wrong. One evening, while they were eating dinner, Judith asked softly, "Daniel, who are you talking to so late at night?" Daniel didn't look up from his plate. "My cousin," he said. "She is going through a hard time back home." "Which cousin?" Judith asked, trying to remember his family tree. "You don't know her. She's from my father's side," he snapped. "Why are you questioning me? Don't you trust your husband?" Judith went quiet. She didn't want to fight. She chose to believe him because the truth felt too scary to face. A few weeks later, Daniel dropped a bombshell. "My cousin has arrived in the UK on a student visa," he said. "She is staying in a small room in another city, but she is struggling." Suddenly, the money Daniel earned from his new job stopped coming into the family account. Judith was back to paying for everything: the rent, the electricity, the groceries, and even Daniel's phone bill. When she asked him for his contribution, he signed with fake sadness. "I told you, Judith, my cousin has no one. I had to pay her rent and buy her a laptop for school. Family must help family." Judith's heart sank. She was working overtime again just to keep them afloat, while Daniel was spending his wages on a cousin she had never met. Then came the request that shattered her peace. "It's too expensive for her to live alone," Daniel said one night. "I want her to move in with us." We have extra space and it will save so much money. Judith felt a cold shiver. In this small house, she is family. Judith, where is your heart? Against her better judgment, Judith agreed. She wanted to be the good wife. The girl's name was Mary. She was young, beautiful, and had a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. She moved in and immediately took over. She called Judith sister and acted very humble. But Judith noticed how Daniel's eyes followed Mary whenever she walked across the room. The atmosphere in the house turned toxic. Daniel and Mary began to act as if Judith were the guests and they were the owners. They would sit in the kitchen speaking their local dialect rapidly, laughing at inside jokes that Judith didn't understand. When Judy came home from her long shift, exhausted and hungry, she would find them in the bedroom with the door closed. We were just studying, Daniel would say when he finally emerged. Studying in the dark, Judith would ask. The light was hurting her eyes. He replied with a straight face. Judith's health began to decline. She lost weight and developed dark circle under her eyes. One day, her best friend Sarah visited and was shocked by Judith's appearance. Judith, you are dying slowly, Sarah said. This isn't a cousin. No cousin acts like this. I have no proof, Judith whispered, her voice trembling. Then get proof, Sarah said firmly. Peace without truth is just a lie. Buy a small camera, not to be wicked, but to protect your soul and to actually know what exactly is going on in your house. Judith bought a small hidden camera disguised as a USB charger. She placed it in the bedroom and went to work. That night, when she returned, she waited until Daniel and Mary were asleep. She took the camera to the bathroom, plugged it into her laptop, and pressed play. The video was clear. The cousin and the husband were not relatives. There was no studying, there was only betrayal. She watched the man she had sacrificed years of her life for, the man she had brought to this country with her own sweat and tears, laughing at her behind, her back with another woman in her own bed. Judith didn't scream. She didn't break the laptop. A strange icy cold took over her body. She realized that her tears had all dried up. She felt a strength she had never felt before, the strength of a woman who had finally had enough. She hid the camera, deleted the footage from her laptop, but saved a copy on a hidden drive. The next morning, she woke up and made breakfast. She smiled and laughed. She was a better actor than they were. A week later, Judith approached Daniel. Daniel, she said, I've been thinking, we've both worked so hard. My auntie in Burkina Faso is very ill, and I want us to go home for a short visit. I want us to reconnect as a couple. Daniel hesitated at first. He didn't want to leave Mary, but Judith played her cards perfectly. I've saved up a special travel bonus from work, she said. I will pay for everything. It's a gift to you. Daniel's greed prevailed, and he agreed to return in 2 weeks with gifts. They flew back to Burkina Faso, where their heart felt like a cleansing fire to Judith. Upon landing, Daniel felt a sense of accomplishment. Having made it to the UK, he strutted around the airport showing off his newfound status. On the third day of their trip, Judith informed Daniel that she would be visiting her auntie in the village for 2 days. She asked him to stay at the hotel and relax, promising to return with some family properties papers. Judith then left the hotel room without going to her auntie. Daniel waited patiently, but 1 day passed, 2 days went by, and 5 days turned into weeks. His phone calls to Judith went straight to voicemail. He visited his auntie's house, but she looked at him in confusion, saying, I haven't seen Judith in years. Daniel found himself in a precarious situation. He had no money, while Judith possessed a passport and return ticket. He was trapped in the very place he had fought so hard to leave, with no way back. Finally, on the third day, his phone rang. Judith, where are you? I am stuck. I have no money for the hotel. he screamed into the phone. There was a long silence, and then Judith's voice came through. It wasn't the voice of the tired, crying woman anymore. It was the voice of a queen. I am back in London, Daniel, she said calmly. What? How? Why did you leave me here? I saw the videos, Daniel. I saw the cousin. I saw the bed and I saw the truth. Daniel's voice faltered. Judith, I can explain. There's nothing to explain, Judith interrupted. I brought you to the UK because I loved you. You told me your cousin needed help. Well, now you are both free to help each other, but you will do it from across the ocean. You can't do this, Daniel yelled. I'm your husband. A husband is a partner, Judy said. You were a parasite. I've already filed for divorce and reported your cousin's living arrangement to the authorities. Your life in the UK is over. She hung up the phone. Judy sat in her living room. It was quiet and simple. She looked at her hands. They were still raw from work, but they weren't shaking anymore. She realized that sometimes the greatest act of love is to love yourself enough to walk away. Daniel remained in Burkina Faso, a man who had traded a gold mine for a piece of glass. Judith rebuilt her life, and this time she built it on a foundation of truth, not sacrifice. Such an interesting story. Sometimes the greatest act of love is to love yourself enough to walk away. What do you think about this story? Share your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. If you enjoyed today's story, then don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and turn on your notification bell so you don't miss out anytime I post interesting stories like this right here on Sem Diary. Also, check out my other video. I got a BBL to save my marriage, but it pushed my husband away. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.